Okay, so where we left in the last class, that was constraints, of course, that we had done certain portions. And from there, we start today. Just taking you back a little, we discussed about mainly these three field names, sorry, constraint names: primary key, not null, and unique. Okay, quickly talking about the features of these three constraints. If I define something as a primary key in iTable, there'll be no repetition of values and there'll be no null values. Okay, when I define a field name as not null, then we will not accept any null values in that. Okay, unique says there'll be no repetition and there'll be no null values. No, null can be there. There'll be no repetition, right? Now, unique plus not null is nothing but a primary key only. As such, also when I'm saying unique, something is unique, should not repeat. I will not prefer to put null also there. Then what is the difference between a primary key and a unique one? There are two major points of difference to be kept in mind. Number one, unique fields can be many in a table. You can make all fields of the table as unique. Now just accept unique values. Okay, but there is only one primary key which can be defined and can exist. Okay, that's first difference. Second difference is that primary key of a table can go and behave as a foreign key of another table, which doesn't apply to my unique at all. These two differences to be kept in mind for primary key and unique can be asked as a theory question. Yes, beta?
Can you repeat the second difference once?
Yeah, the second difference says primary key of a table can behave as the foreign key of another table. We have seen that particular thing while studying for the foreign key concepts and database concepts, that I pick up the primary key of one table and take it as a foreign key of the other, right? That is possible with the primary key, but unique key doesn't have any feature of that kind. I mean, with unique key, that's not possible. Okay. So these were the three we discussed. We also saw the examples of how we can define them using the table constraint method. That is at the end of the specification of all the fields I specified, or the column level method. In front of the column, we do that. What is not possible in the case of primary key is if I want to have a combination field, three fields behaving as a primary key, then I cannot write primary key in front of three fields in the table specification. That will not be acceptable. I will have to go for this mechanism where I will write ID, comma, name, comma, date of purchase. If all those three combined. Okay, so this needs to be kept in mind that with primary key, multiple, sorry, when I want a composite primary key, then the table, then the column method is not applicable. It has to be the table method, right? For others, it can be either of the two. There's no problem. Both ways you can define. Now let's come to the check constraint. Check constraint, I had said that I want to design my own constraint. I want to limit the entry according to my requirement. For example, I want to say that my age in this particular field should be greater than only 18. I cannot have somebody who's less than 18 or vice versa. Or you want to say that it has to be in the range of 18 to 36. Okay, these are not the predefined uh, constraints like primary key, not null, foreign key. When you have your unique, default, check gives you the flexibility to create your own uh, constraints. Okay, let's take up an example and try it out for ourselves, that how we can do, because when you design a check, there's one thing which of course you have to keep in mind, that is how to write it. Of course, that is important, but other than that, the conditions which you can specify, that is again uh, the rules for those conditions will be just the way you've been given conditions with my select command. So you can use in, you can use between, you can use like, you can use your combining operators, that is your and, or, not, everything you can use. So whatever ways of creating conditions you've learned, all those ways can be used. There's nothing to learn in that. What I have to learn is, and what I have to know is, how do I create? How do I mention that? Okay. So let's take an example of creating sample 2. I think sample 1 we were creating last class. Sample 2, and try to include all sorts of constraints, whatever we learned till now. Okay. Let this data be about, you can say, the easiest I can work with is students only, but something concerning their picnic. Okay, picnic collection. So let us keep that. Right. So here I have the admission number of the child. Of course, this should be unique. No two people should be giving the money twice, but it should not be recording them twice. Okay. Name of the person. And I want name should be there. I don't want that I have anonymous people. Then I talk about the address. Address is accepted, that okay, where you stay, there is no restriction on that. No restriction. Okay. Then I talk about the date of giving the money. So date of giving uh, date of submission. Date of submission, it's a date type, and then it says I cannot have which specified for date, so I will not do that. And here I try to design a constraint that the date has to be before 10th February. Okay. After 10th February, I will not accept any money for the picnic. So 10th February se pehle ka date hoना chahiye. Okay. This kind of a constraint I will do. So how do I do it? I have to design my own thing. So I know that I have to go for the check constraint. So you start the check and design your own brackets here. So check constraint should be in brackets. Okay. Here we have to write the whole condition just if you would have written it with the where clause. Now somebody can tell me, if I have to mention the thing with the where clause of select command, where date of submission should be before 10th February 2022, how I would have written. Just think and tell me. I want to write the condition date of submission should be less than 10th February 2022. How I would write it? Batao. How will I write it? Obviously, where what will I write? Date of submission. I said before means less, after means for a date. After means greater than, right? So here I'm saying that before 10th February. So date should be less than or maybe equal to 10th ko bhi chila accept. So you will put an equal to. If you want to say that no, not on 10th, only up till 9th, then you can put it as less than only. 10th February 2022. 2022 dash February dash 10th. Okay. Just the way. Where clause obviously will not write. So WHER condition is based on with the field. Field name should definitely be there. Less than equal to this date. If I want to say less than this and greater than this, so I will write that also. And DOS greater than suppose 1st January 2022. So I'm writing, and dates are always enclosed in double quotes. That rule also applies. 1st January 2022. Okay, just the way you write your conditions with the select command. Similarly, so this is how I specify this kind of a check constraint. Let's try to look for something else too. Suppose I'm saying class of the child. So class int max to max 2 because it's 1 to 12, right? So I want to say that the class value should be in the range of 1 to 12 only, or maybe 9 to 12 kids are going. 1 to 8 is not applicable. So I want to put a restriction key. 9 to 12 bhi hona chahiye, nothing else. Tell me, how do I do it? How do I specify that the range of value accepted in class should be from 9 to 12? If I don't want to use the AND operator, I mean this way, less than and greater than, then how will I do it? I'll go for the between operator. Speak up, bachas. Between operator. How do I write between operator? Field name between the first value, which is 9, and the second value, which is 12. Another constraint given. Okay. Now I say section. Now section I want should only be BDF. This is a picnic designed for BDF sections. So I just want BDF in my data. I don't want any other section. Okay. So how do I design that? Section cache single, because it's only one, A, B, C, D, E, F, like that. And my constraint goes by saying that section should be in. In has its own bracket. Bracket will also be there. B, E. So this part is your in part. This much. Right? And from this whole thing, including in, is your part. Bracket. In will have its own bracket also. Okay, hope you're realizing that until unless you write it and make mistakes 20 times, you will not be able to do it correctly in the exam. Isn't it? It's not possible to do it without making corrections. You will definitely make mistakes in this. So practicing is very, very important. Okay, so this is how I try to put that my section values can be B, D, or F. Of course, you can write section is either. So I'm not going to write equal to, I mean either word. So as a section equal to B, or section equal to D, or section equal to F. Obviously, writing like that is little cumbersome. This becomes more handy. Is it clear? Now this is the closing bracket for your create table. That is this bracket closure, this one, right? And then I put my semicolon. I hope I have not missed anything, so that it does not give me an error. There is no error. Let's check the description of the table so that we can make out what is accepted, and then we try inserting records and checking out. As such, primary key and null and not null is only mentioned. Checks are not mentioned in the description as such. When I try to insert into my table values corresponding to my first record, where I say admission number 1000, comma, name is, then I'm saying address is something. Now, date of submission of the money. So I'm saying date of submission. Let's take this as here. I'm saying suppose today's date. So today's date is 2022 0202. Oh, today is 2nd February. Okay. Now class I try to put 8 followed by section I try to put a section is correct, class is wrong. Let's see whether it is able to accept the data or not. Right? Check constraint sample 2 underscore check underscore 2. Second check constraint. You can make it out from here also by the name. Because this is the kind of name it creates on its own. And here I was telling you that you can create your own constraint name for this whole constraint. those constraint names will be referenced. Okay, that was the purpose of giving this thing. It's not essential, it works without that too, because it will create its own names. But if you give it, you know which constraint he is talking about. That's basically the thing. So check constraint violated. Fine. Now you have to go and see, okay, what second constraint I had given. This was the constraint. Second check constraint. First one was date k regarding, second one was class k regarding. So 8 is not accepted. So then what do? I just change this to 9. Insert, and it is inserted. Is the check constraint clear? Yeah, speak out.
Yes, ma'am.
What about others?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm,
Even I did the same with you only, ma'am, but mine is showing error.
Okay, good. I want to see that error. I'll just give you the permission to share. Just a second, and you share. That's excellent. You also see what error she is getting. Share, beta. I've given you the permission. Because it's obvious to get errors when you do it for the first time, second time, third time, fourth time. Maybe fifth time you will not get it. Command-based things definitely take time to, get to the nerve of it. Okay. Now, the error is you should be able to decipher the errors also by now. No database selected. You can create a table only inside a database. So first I have to select a database. How do you select a database? Use. So use some database first which you have created earlier. Which database have you created, Trishika, earlier? Suppose you don't remember the name. So what do? Show databases. I don't remember what databases I created. So say show databases. Have you created a database earlier?
No, ma'am, actually I didn't.
Okay, never mind. Okay, this way now we learn how to kind of redo the whole thing also easily in SQL by not typing it. And one error we have understood. Okay, so first say create database, Trishika. This is what I want, that you parallelly do things with me so that,
Ma'am, I should write what you are saying.
yes, create database, Trishika. It's like a folder, he needs a folder to make your data. हाँ लिखो यहाँ पे create database Trishika. Semicolon, enter. Right. Now use Trishika. So now you're opening that folder for him. And you do not write database as a word there. You just say use and the name of the database. Semicolon, enter. Now you have reached your database. Okay. अब क्या करो त्रिशिका? Take the up arrow key of your keyboard. हाँ, एक बार और, एक बार और, एक बार और, एक बार और. Go to the first line of the command. Right. Enter. Again, go up with the up arrow key. Keep on going. Right. Enter. Next. Enter. This way you recreate the whole command. You don't have to type it. Okay. Up arrow key. Enter. And if you have made some mistake, you can do the correction also. Enter. Enter. Right. Enter. Up. Enter. If it's taking so much time, there should not be any correction. Correction comes immediately. Excellent. See, you did not have to type the whole command also. Obviously, in Pesa, you have the option to copy paste. Here, there's no option to copy paste, but with the up arrow keys, you can easily pick up the previous commands. That is how, if you make some mistake also, we pick up the previous commands, but you have to create the whole command again. You just can't edit one line and ask him to redo like that. You have to create the whole command, reach that line, make the concern change, then again pick up the rest of the lines, and then ultimately press enter. Excellent. Thank you, Trishika. Okay, keep on trying. I will request everybody to keep on trying that. It's very, very important for you to learn faster. Okay, you say, okay, let ma'am teach, then we will do. I will take my own sweet time and then do. It never happens. It never happens. When things are fresh in your mind, then only you can do these things well and gain the confidence. Okay. So next one. Now we have the default constraint. Very simple. I will not go much detail into it. I am supposed to specify a default value for a field so that if user skips, then this value will be added instead of any other value, instead of an error. Okay. So like here it is ID, L name, F name, age, city. Way of writing is very simple. Default, and in front of that the default value. Now primary key में there was no value to be written, not null में no value, unique में no value. Check brackets के अंदर we used to give a condition. Default में there is no bracket, nothing. Default and the value. If it's a number, numeric value, no quotes. If it is a date, quotes. If it is a character value, then quotes. Okay. I hope it's not a trouble. Sometimes in some question I'll show the working also. Right. Now we move on to a little tricky thing, which is foreign key. How do I define a foreign key? Right? For that, let us take up this particular example. Okay, I think the table specifications are in the... Okay, let's take this particular table only. Then I'll come back to that. This particular thing. There's the student table, roll number, student name, date of birth, guardian ID. Okay, GID. It is mentioning you here that this is the foreign key. Okay, we know foreign key of a table is actually a primary key of some other table. And I want him to maintain that kind of a relationship that whatever values in the corresponding primary key I have, those values should only come. If I try to enter something else, he should give me an error. Should not allow that entry. If I delete that primary key value, then something should happen to my foreign key value also. It gets deleted or it is set to null. All this relationship I want to establish. Okay. So what I have to do is I have to define this foreign key and connect it to my guardian table by defining it with foreign key. Okay. Ab jaise, to make the second floor, it is important that you make the first floor. Isn't it? Ab directly first floor nahi bana sakte na. I mean, if it's a ground floor and first floor, two things, you definitely have to make the first floor. तभी second floor बनाओगे और first floor से second floor की सीढ़ी बनाओगे ना. Can I do it the other way around? Can I do it the other way around? That I make the second floor first and then I create the first floor and then I make the base for the house. It's not possible. है ना? तो relationship अगर आपको बनाना है, if you want to make a stairs from ground floor to first floor, ground floor has to be made first. Then you make the first floor, isn't it? Now I want to make a foreign key from my student table to the guardian table. So which table should be created first? Student or guardian? कौन सा डेटा सिस्टम के पास पहले होना चाहिए? Tell me. The guardian one or the student one? Shouldn't it be the guardian one? Because guardian mein, when you will define GID as the primary key, then only you can pick this GID and ask him to make it in the as a foreign key in the student table. Okay, so हमेशा foreign key जिसके अंदर defined है, that table will be created later because corresponding primary key table should be created first. Am I clear with this? Am I clear with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How do we create the table with the primary key? That is simple. Like in the guardian table, GID will become primary key, G name not null, G phone unique, GR is nothing, and table ban gaya. Okay. How do I create the foreign key reference? I will just show the example as of now, and then later we will do the practice. Like in this case, I'm talking about the emp table where I want to make the foreign key reference. Okay, the way I'm doing it for the guardian table. Okay, so see this example. Here I'm saying my employee table has a primary key e code. Okay, e name as a not null constraint. Designations default value should be ABC. I've just given it random. Then this department thing. This department thing has to be character 30 and It is referencing the department table card decode. That's the meaning of this particular line. And by this, we tell the machine that DEPT is my foreign key in the EMP table. इसको English statement की तरह याद रखो. You will not forget. When I want to create a foreign key, what do I write? I write references. This field is referencing who? It is referencing that table name where you have made the primary key. Okay? And what is the name of the primary key? Decode. So this fellow should refer to this particular field of this particular table. Hence, I'm able to create it as a foreign key. There's another way also of writing it out, but this is the most common way we use. इसमें हम foreign key नहीं लिखते. FOREIGH we don't write. We write it like this. References which table? That name, and bracket के अंदर which particular field. So here you see that my primary key field name can be different from the foreign key field name also, because you are mentioning the field name. It is not essential to have the same. Okay, that explanation has been given here below with the note. Okay, here I stop, and we continue doing this practically and practicing further in the next class.